Hey budget gardeners, Vita Loca here. Join me today as I show you how to dig up, divide, and move some garden phlox. So let's go. Garden phlox is a tall type of phlox that blooms during the mid to late summer months. And if you're wondering about creeping phlox, that's a different type of perennial plant. I have videos showing my process for dividing creeping phlox. I'll link them down below. There are a lot of different colors as well as varieties when it comes to garden phlox. There are shorter ones as well as taller ones, and they come in lots of beautiful colors ranging from pinks, purples, and even whites. We're going to head over to my sister-in-law's house where she has some garden phlox that she's very graciously sharing with me, and I'm going to show you my process for dividing the phlox. I'll be using a large shovel to do the job, and when it comes to digging, you want to dig a few inches away from the base or the crown of the plant. And since I don't want to take the full amount of the plant, I only want to take part of it, I'm going to dig from a few different sides of the plant. Once I've been able to loosen out a small section of the plant, I can go ahead and remove that section. When it comes to timing, you can definitely dig up, divide, and move tall phlox during the spring or fall months. Those are the optimal times to do it. However, you can also do this job during the summer months. I will say you want to make sure you're giving your plants plenty of water after you've gone ahead and divided them. I was able to dig up a few different colors from my sister-in-law Jen's house. Let me show you what they look like. We have this very pretty light purple or lavender colored flower here. And then we have this nice light pink color with a dark pink eye. And even though these are not blooming, they're budded up, we have this white colored one. And I believe it's called David, but I'm not quite sure. But this is an all white colored tall phlox. The first thing I want to do is just remove any weeds that are in here. I really feel strongly that you don't want to bring hitchhikers along anytime you move plants in your garden from one place to another place. So we're going to go ahead and remove these. I'm just looking for any other weeds that are in here, and I'm removing those, like this grass here. And now that we've cleaned up all the weeds here, you can see when it comes to this plant what the roots look like. I'm not going to divide this. This is a nice single division right here. And when I dug this up, this was all clumped together. And again, I only took some small pieces of each color from her yard. And with this piece here, you can see that there are 3 stems coming out of it. Let's see if we can try to divide it so that at least one piece has 1 stem and the other piece has 2 stems. And when it comes to dividing perennials, I always prefer to try to tug them apart first and see if they're going to come apart. And this is not coming apart, so now we're going to have to use some sort of a garden tool. If you had a very big clump, you could definitely come in with a big shovel and cut your divisions in half using the big shovel. But this is a very small piece here that we just want to divide further. So I could use something like my hand pruners, or I could use something like this, which is a hand pruning saw. And the brand name is Corona, but there are a lot of different brands out there. I'm going to go ahead and use my hand pruners, and I'm finding a good place to divide. So I want to divide between this stem here and these 2 stems here, so like right here. You might find that this is a nice size division and you don't want to divide it any further. It's really a personal preference. There, and now I just pulled it apart, and now we have a total of 3 plants right here. Here's the light pink with the dark pink eye. So again, I'm just looking for any weeds, and I'm noticing as I'm looking around that this division is pulling right off, so that's great. And one of the biggest reasons why I'm dividing my plants down so small is, honestly, I want plenty of this plant. And I want to make sure that I spread them around in this one area of my yard that I call the long border. There's some old pieces here from last year, and I'm just pulling those off. And let's see if we can pull this apart here with a little bit of effort. So we've divided that. You can see this was, again, a very small section that I took from my sister-in-law's yard, and I was able to turn it into 4 sections now. And for this year, I'm very pleased with that. We're going to keep them as 4 sections. Again, this is the pretty pink colored phlox. And then we're going to do the same process with the purple colored phlox. I wanted to chit chat with you about a few things. You may decide to cut your phlox down when you're doing this process, especially if you're doing it during the summertime. I don't plan on doing that. I'm planning on just keeping the plants the way they are. I feel strongly that the plant will continue putting energy into the roots while still supporting the top growth. But if you prefer to cut your plants down, you can do that as well. One thing I've learned with gardening is there are so many different ways to accomplish the same thing. But the big thing that I want to stress is make sure you're giving your divisions plenty of water. That is key. If you went ahead and just divided these and put these out in your landscape and didn't water them and they didn't get any water for a week, it would not be good for the plants. So again, fortunately, these are just kind of falling apart on their own. And with this particular division, I have some freebie iris that came along with this plant. So now is a great time to divide the iris off of here, and I can always plant those somewhere else in my landscape. So we're just going to pull the phlox away from the iris, and we turn that very small division into 3 divisions here. And what's great is over the next few years, all of these plants are going to multiply within the long flower bed that we're going to get them placed in. So let's go ahead and get some of these planted. This is what I call the long border. You can see it's a very long, very narrow flower border. And this is considered part sun, even though it gets quite a bit of sun. I have it packed with a lot of flowers, but I think the tall phlox or garden phlox will look so pretty in this area. We're going to add some of this beautiful tall phlox right here. And to do the job, we're just going to use a small hand shovel because the roots are not very deep. And when it comes to a depth, I just want to make sure I'm digging a deep enough hole so that the roots are beneath soil level, but the crown of the plant is flush with soil level. This flower bed is set up on drip irrigation. The soil is nice and wet. If the soil was not wet, then I would go ahead and add some water to the planting hole. Now I'm going to go ahead and just backfill and then give it a nice drink of water. And just look how beautiful that looks now that we've added it. We have the very pretty red bee balm. We have the purple echinacea or coneflower. We have the white of the Annabelle hydrangea. And then of course the bright orange or yellow of the black-eyed Susan or Rebecca. I think just by adding this nice dark purple of the tall phlox will add a wonderful complement to this space. The process is pretty repetitive after a while. I'm going to get the rest of these planted. But I wanted to just bring you along and show you my process for digging up, dividing, and moving a bunch of this garden phlox. That is the absolute best way to add plants to your yard, is to dig, divide, and move your plants around. That's in fact how much of my garden came to creation, is just by dividing plants that I already have. I hope this video inspired you and gave you some ideas for your own garden. If you have any questions or comments, please drop them down below. And until the next video, make it a great day with gardening.